1. AITA for scheduling a surgery over Easter. Long story short, I almost died in 2022. My mom and my siblings didn't come to visit me for 4 days. My dad drove and was there in 4 hours despite being sick himself, and when they said to prepare for the worst, he sat by me for hours in a plastic chair. My mom thought I was faking it, which is why she didn't show up. Turns out I had nodules in my brain and other issues. I then saw a specialist, and they said I needed surgery. I messaged my family in the WhatsApp group being like, this is bad, and they simply sent DMs to the group saying, get well soon. Like I'm having keyhole surgery. I had more love from colleagues. Now I need surgery tomorrow, and I scheduled my recovery over Easter under observation a few weeks back. My mom does a big Easter meal for the family and an egg hunt every year, but the first was the only slot I could get without missing too much time off work. She then seemed peeved that I had ruined her plans and that she'd bought me an egg. She didn't ask how I felt, if I was nervous, if I wanted a video call with her before I went in, nothing. Sure, I'm 35 and she's 59, but still, I expected her to sound concerned over me, not her meal. She then said, do you actually need surgery? Again, like I was faking it. I didn't even tell my siblings because they'd probably say thoughts and prayers and nothing else. Then again, though, I could have gotten a later slot in April and attended her meal. She puts a lot of care into this, and I could have been more thoughtful. So, AITA? 2. AITA for not drinking at my friend's wedding? To begin, I'll admit I'm mostly coming here because I'm just really confused. I don't drink at all. Not for any big reason, but all my friends know this. Leah and I have been good friends since middle school, so when she asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding, I was excited. On to the current issue. Her wedding was Saturday evening, but everything started on Friday night. Her family hosted a dinner for all of us, and being a part of the wedding party, I attended. Throughout the night, I was offered drinks, but I always declined. At some point, shots were given to the entire table to toast to the couple, and I just took the shot glass they handed to me to go along with it. After everyone took their shots, she looked at me and said, "You're really not going to drink that?" I just told her no, but if she wanted it, she could have it. It was going to go to waste with me, so if someone else wanted it, then it was all theirs. She stared at me for a few seconds and said back, "Do you seriously have to start this right now?" I was confused because I didn't know what she expected me to do. Besides, she's aware I don't drink, so I don't really know what she meant by that. Come the wedding day, the MOH was making mimosas for everyone and asked me if I wanted one. As usual, I declined. Drinks were given throughout the day, but I always said no whenever offered one. Eventually, when all the bridesmaids were getting ready, one of the other girls asked me if I didn't drink at all, and I said yes. That prompted a few of the girls to ask why. I understand that it's odd to meet people who don't drink, so naturally, questions will be asked. I just explained that it wasn't my cup of tea, and we moved on. I will say, for the rest of the time, while we were getting ready, I was still asked if I would like any, but I kept saying no. In case it matters, I wouldn't have been able to drink anyway. I was driving myself to and from the wedding, so drinking either way was out of the question. Then, at the wedding, Leah's photographer and videographer asked us to take glasses of wine they set up for us and to chug them. I was at the far end of the line they had us in, so I just pretended to drink mine. One of the other girls offered to take mine afterwards, so I dumped what was in my glass into hers. Leah saw this and told me, "You know, it isn't going to fucking kill you just to drink it. It's just a drink. No different from water or apple juice." I thought about it all day yesterday, and I'm just wondering if I missed something. I talked to my best friend about it, and she said she wasn't sure why any of that would be upsetting to Leah, but she also doesn't drink. So I'm not sure if there's something to this that either of us is not understanding. I'm not sure if I made Leah upset somehow, but I plan to ask her later. She's on her honeymoon until next Sunday, so I won't be hearing from her anytime soon. Until then, Reddit AITA? 3. AITA for snatching things back from my colleague. I, 36F, have a colleague George, 58M, who has a nasty habit of taking things out of people's hands without asking. Files, memos, communal snacks, etc. I don't believe it's malicious, because he does it to everyone, and George is spacey. We lovingly call him Goldfish George. He's been here forever and is only a few years away from retirement. His behavior causes some office strife, but people mostly ignore it. Except for me. I absolutely hate having things snatched out of my hands. I have no other issue with George. He and I have carpooled together on several occasions, and we get along great. Right up until I open a pack of gum, and he grabs a stick before I've even had one. I've discussed it with George more than once. Dude, just ask. I promise, I'll give you some if I can. Think of it this way. If I hand you my wallet, that's fine, but if you snatch my wallet out of my bag, that's stealing. Every time we have this conversation, George swears he understands and that he'll stop, but then he does it again. Sometimes it's not so bad. If we're in the break room and he grabs a handful of popcorn I happen to be holding, whatever. But last week, he stole a pen from literally between my fingers while I was filling out a form because he had to write down his very important idea. It left a giant pen mark on my form, and I had to get a new one. I decided I'd had enough and that the next time he grabbed something without asking, I'd simply snatch it back. Then he'd finally understand how annoying it is. Long story short, my plan didn't go well. Yesterday, I was in the break room, eating a big bag of communal chips. George came in and yanked them from me as expected. I immediately snatched the bag back and said, "Ask, please." "George, we've talked about this." Then I held the bag out to him. He huffed and grabbed it so aggressively, it split wide open. It was only a quarter full, but we had to clean up the mess, and George was not pleased. He told me I made him feel like a child. Maybe my "here's a taste of your own medicine" plan was childish. AITA? 4. AITA for not changing rooms. I am a girl, 20, that lives with my family of 5. I moved out at 17 to get closer to school, and then now I'm 20 and am moving back home to work. I have a big sister, 22, that has always been mean to me and is always looking to start an argument. If she wasn't my sister, I would say that it would be seen as bullying. The key part is that we are 3 kids and has rotated rooms when we were younger, but landed on our rooms when I was about 14. The second floor is only rooms, and for now it's my big sister's room, and then it's my room beside hers, my parents' room beside mine, and then my little brother's room, 17. In the end, so every room share a wall with the neighbor room, if that makes sense. Keep in mind that our house was built in 1875, so the walls are thin, but not critically thin. I have spent so much time rearranging and decorating, painting, and even had a wall built in to divide it from the hall to give me privacy. I love my room and have made it my safe space and made it so it fits me. But now my sister is trying to make me change rooms with my brother because he is moving away for school, and my parents are also trying to change my mind so that they won't have to deal with my sister arguing with me. You are probably wondering why they want me to change rooms. Well, my sister is hyper aware of sounds and always gets mad when I make sounds from my room, like talking on the phone, watching movies, doing crafts, listening to music and stuff like that, even coughing. Just basic things I like to do to have a happy life and good mental health. My parents and sister are setting rules like quiet time after 9 p.m. and stuff like that. I feel like that is absolute BS because I feel like I'm living in an institute. I told her that she can change rooms if it is such a problem. She told me she can't because our father works from home and takes phone calls around 9 a.m. She has even said that she wakes up early anyway. Am I in the wrong for standing my ground and telling my family that if she has a problem with me just existing, then she can change rooms? P.S. I removed that I am sensitive to energy because I know some people think it's not real, but to me that's a part of what I believe in. I don't judge someone for believing in God, for example. And second, I have lived on my own for 3 years and I don't really want to move back home, but my mom wants me to because she misses me and it's hard to find someplace new to live, she said. Know this is a trifle, but I for once want to stand up to my sister. Thanks for all the comments. I feel more knowledgeable and seeing more views to the situation. 5. AITA for resenting my brother? This is my first post, and English isn't my first language, so bear with me if it's a little messy or confusing. My brother and I were very close. He's my only sibling, and he's taken care of me ever since. But he's always had problems, and everyone in my family knows that. I don't understand how or when it started, but he's always felt compelled to steal from other people. It started out small, but eventually it got out of hand and escalated to him stealing thousands from other people. My parents have tried to discipline him, but every time it always ends up with my mom sympathizing with him since he's depressed. He's done way more, but stealing has always been the main problem. It reached the boiling point when he had a huge fight with my dad, and he ended up running away from home. This happened in October last year. and I haven't really spoken to him since. My problem comes from my mom now, where she's asking me to understand and overall feel bad for my brother. She brings up how he has always been there for me and how we're siblings and nothing can change that. She talks to me about how personal problems affect him, and she's using those problems to somewhat defend him and justify his actions. I do not feel bad. I do not want to talk to him. She keeps telling me to reach out to him, but I can't bring myself to. My mom always brings up how I'd have to forgive him eventually, but I genuinely can't imagine myself forgiving him for what he's done. I feel as though she is trying to guilt me by saying that we're family and we need to support each other through thick and thin. It also feels like everyone else has forgiven him / everyone else doesn't care about what he's done, so now I'm wondering if I'm TA for not wanting to reconnect. 6. AITA. Restaurant upsell. I'm American and have been living in the UK for a little less than a year. I'm traveling, so I went to an Indian restaurant solo. The waiter kept pushing me on Pap Adams, and every other restaurant I've been to. These have been provided free like bread. I relented after saying no multiple times and said I would have one. At no point was it disclosed that these would be charged for. When the bill came, they had charged me for not just the Pap Adam, but also 3x extra for the accompanying chutneys I had never asked for. I disputed this, and the manager completely laid into me, saying I should have known better. He did remove the charge, but berated me about it. I left the restaurant in tears. I wrote a negative Google review, which I've never done before. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But this was such an appalling experience, I broke my rule. The manager responded and tried to flip it on me with the basic American Karen thinks the whole world should function like the US, and saying I lectured him disrespectfully, when it was the other way around in my book, who ended up crying. Me. I'm thinking about taking the review down even though I still believe in it, because I don't want to look like a Karen on the internet. AI actually TA here? 7. AITA for sending Venmo invoices to my husband's friend? Here's the story. I'll keep it as short as possible, but it's going to be long anyway. For background, my husband and I have known each other for more than 11 years. When we met, we knew it wasn't our time yet. However, we always knew we'd end up together. We actually just got married last August. Anyway, he has / had a friend, typical barfly that quit her job and left her adult children to take care of everything while she got catfished by some guy she talked to on the internet. While she was gone most of the summer, her adult children weren't working and paid none of the bills. She comes back, somehow gets her old job back, and realizes she's about to lose her house because obviously the bills haven't been paid. My husband and I were only engaged last July when she was crying and whining to anyone that would listen that she had no money to catch up. Hugh and my husband. At the time, he was drinking heavily. She asked for $500 in front of me, and I told him not to do it. In front of her. As he is a bleeding heart and was completely drunk, he agreed. I found out later that while I was at work, instead of $500, she asked for $2,500, and after his dumb drunk ass wasn't in his right mind agreed. Then she had the nerve to ask for $5,000. He at least refused that request, but still lent her the $2,500. After our wedding, I contacted her in order to set up a payment plan. He and I decided that $100 a month was reasonable. Of course, when it came time for her first payment, she came up with an excuse. We let it go because it was around Christmas. I've been sending her Venmo requests since February, and she sends me nasty texts calling me names. If it was only the original $500, honestly, I wouldn't care, but she totally took advantage of his alcoholism, and $2,500 is quite a bit. AITA for demanding she repay the money? Edit. I should have mentioned that I sent him to rehab. He's not an active addiction, he's an active recovery. He hasn't had a drink since September, and he's doing great. Thumbs up. 8. AITA for telling girlfriend to stop competing with a ghost? Some context. My 25M father, deceased, studied to be a chef, but life got in the way and had to do something else, but he kept his cooking skills. Every Saturday or Sunday, he prepared us a 5-course meal for the family. We, family, are not that good, but we get together at least 2 times a month and cook some of the dishes that he used to prepare for us. My GF, 26F, also likes to cook, and she is very good at it. She has been part of said tradition as a guest and knows the many plates my father made for us. Now, for the past 6 months, she has invited me to eat at her house, She has made every said plates. I didn't find it strange at the beginning, but after a couple of times, every time that she asked me how it was, no matter how much I tell her that it was very good, she somehow ends up dissatisfied with my answer. I have asked her what was the issue but got no answer. A few days ago, she made my favorite dish and dessert. After I basically stuffed my face, she asked me how it was and I told her it was freaking delicious. She started with how delicious? I answered her with 30 different ways of delicious, and she was still not satisfied. Then she asked the question, better than your dad's? And I understood why she was not satisfied. This is what I said to her, and what possibly makes me the asshole. Please don't do that because I will never compare the two of you. Your food is delicious. I mean, I eat half a pot in one sit of how good it was. But if you want me to tell you that you are better than my old man, I'm sorry, but it won't happen, and it's not because of the level of your cuisine, but for the mere fact that you are not my old man. You're good on your own right. I look forward to eating your food just as much as I did every weekend he cooked for us. He's gone. Please stop competing with a ghost because you're fighting a losing battle. She ended up kicking me out, and things have been icy between us. Comments. Comment 1, NTA. Why is she competing with a dead man and putting you in this position while you're probably still grieving? OOP. The thing is, my old man has been dead almost 5 years. I still missing, of course, but I learned to deal with it. I met her 2 years after, so I don't get why she started this battle. Comment 2. NTA, you handled this with so much grace. She was way out of line to begin with, and her reaction was even worse. Is she generally overly competitive or narcissistic in other areas? I think this is on her to apologize profusely, and you can decide if you accept it or not. OOP, not really. Aside from this issue with the food, we don't have any. Maybe your classic let's watch this show or this one. You know, that kind of small thing. Comment 3, NTA. If my partner was demanding I specifically say she was better at something than my dead father or the relationship was over, I'd be seriously worried about her and looking for the door. It's fine to want praise, not to demand to be held higher than a dead loved one, or anyone really. Some insecurity is understandable and you should affirm and praise her effort. But this is too far. Update 0.5. Edit. I never thought this would get this much attention. I will give you more information to make things clearer. She never met my father. We met 2 years after he passed away. Neither my family has compared her food or my brother's partners to our fathers or anyone. Our grandma, Dad's mother, did that to us, not them. And we made her cut it out because we know it's just plain rude. When we get together, we're not babbling about our father. We know it would be a drag. We catch up about what we're doing while someone cooks. If one of them brings a dish, we happily eat it. If there's something we can be wrong when we go to Mom's house, it's that we don't let them cook, Mom's request. My brothers or I are the ones who do it, and we do it because we have many mannerisms from our father. Although we are not him, it's like he is here. If they want to help, we let them help, but we are mainly in charge. We mostly cook what our fathers used to prepare, but we also do other things. If one of them invite us to their place, we all happily go and eat whatever they prepare because they're also very good at it. Lastly, we are planning to talk later today or tomorrow to clear things up and move from there. Update, 1 month later. I posted a few weeks ago and I got requests for an update, so here it is. I spoke with my ex-GF the day after I made the post. The first thing she did was to apologize for her behavior. A stern talk from her parents and also from her therapist made her realize that she was acting out pure jealousy. She told me that she was going to have 2 sessions a week and suggested couples therapy. We talked more in depth and I decided to not break up with her for the moment. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt and my life was already hectic with work. I wanted to wait to be in a better headspace. We communicated only through calls and messages, but we were on standby until new information came to light. A few days ago, one of my brothers called me for a work consultation and have dinner with them. During dinner, they asked me how things were going, and I told them that we were talking more, but things were still on the fence. That's when my SIL told me something that happened between them. SILs get together once a week, and my ex was included. She said that months ago, just before her behavior started, my ex suggested to them about taking over our family dinners. I'm not talking about them cooking that day or they hosting the dinner at their houses. No, I'm talking to completely erase the whole thing. SILs refused and told her that the dinner was important for them too. They like it, and if she had a problem, to talk to me. My ex-GF still tried to push the idea a few more times until my S-Gels got tired and stopped inviting her to hang out with them and stopped talking with her, but they stayed civil. I talked with my other S-Styles that night, and they confirmed the whole thing. The next day, I called my ex-GF telling her that we needed to talk. We met at her parents' house, and I went straight to the point. I told her that I found out what she tried to do, she confirmed, and I broke up with her. Comments. Comment 1. Info. Why is so against the dinners and then tried to be better than him? Why did push so hard to get this to end? OOP. She claimed jealousy. She was the only who didn't meet my father. If she didn't have some sort of connection to him, neither the rest. That's why her insistence in stopping dinners at my mother's. Once she couldn't do it, she just tried to be better than him. Comment 2. I don't even know where her problem is. I mean, 2 dinners a month, unless you live far away, is not that much. If she wants, she can skip it once in a while. I mean, when my MIL invites me, I usually go, and it's around twice a month too. But if I have something else planned, my BF goes on his own, and I bet she is also happy to see her son on his own from time to time too. And on top of it, this sounds very lovely, everybody getting on with each other, eating nice food. I just can't. It's so weird. OOP. Her issues were not really with the dinners. It was pure jealousy of my deceased father and also of my S-Gels because they actually met my dad. She was the only one with no connection to him. Comment 3. In retrospect, kind of bold that she'd suggest couples therapy because that implies a dysfunction of the relationship on both sides. Going there to be told you somehow contributed to someone else's very clear clinical issues seems a bit ridiculous. OOP. I had nothing against couples therapy, but that would come after she made some progress on her own issues. By the look of it, it would be a long time before we reached that point, and what she tried to do was just too much for me to overlook. Update 1.5. Edit. She wanted to get rid of dinners at my mother's house entirely. She tried to get my SILs to join her cause, but once that failed, she started trying to be better than my deceased father. She did that to get me stop going to my family gatherings, or to join her cause to stop the family dinners. I hope this is clearer. Thank you for taking the time with my mess, and also thank you to those who DM me about their own experiences with their families. 9. AITA for losing weight for my friend's wedding. I, F28, recently lost a fair bit of weight, and now my friend, F30, is saying I'm trying to upstage her at her wedding. My best friend, Emily, got engaged at the end of last year and asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was super happy and of course said yes. In the past 3 years I have put on some weight, about 2 dress sizes. It didn't really bother me until recently, so I decided to use the wedding as an excuse to lose some weight. I just find it easier to do if I have a goal and end date. This past weekend we were bridesmaid dress shopping, and Emily was acting kind of weird towards me, giving me funny looks and talking over me. The 2 other bridesmaids, one I'm friends with, the other I don't know very well, didn't seem to notice, so I brushed it off thinking she was just stressed. Me and Emily live really close to each other, so usually after something like this we would hang out for the day at one of our houses. At the end of the appointment, I asked her whose house she wanted to go to, and she scoffed and told me she was going home. I asked what was wrong, and this is when she went off on me. I don't remember word for word what she said because I was so confused and shocked. But these are the bits I remember. She basically said it was clear I was trying to lose weight to upstage her for her wedding, that I was already the skinny friend, and now I'm just trying to make it all about me, especially as I never cleared my weight loss with her. She said I clearly knew what I was doing was wrong because I was still wearing oversized clothes to disguise my weight loss. I just haven't updated my wardrobe and prefer to be comfortable over wearing tight-fitting stuff. I don't consider myself skinny, but I am the smallest out of the 4 of us. I also didn't think about how changing my appearance would affect her vision for her wedding. I've never been a bridesmaid before, so I don't know if that was something I should have considered. So I don't think I'm the AH for losing the weight, unless I am. But AITH for not telling her I was going to lose weight. Comments. Comment 1. Cleared your weight loss with her? Is she fucking kidding? That is the stupidest and most controlling thing ever. Some people. SMH. ETA. Comment 2. Right. I understand being envious of someone's weight loss when you are unhappy with your own body, but to get mad and say they are trying to upstage you at your own wedding is delusional. A true friend would be happy for you. It seems she was only friends with OP because she was heavier as well, which made her feel better about herself. Comment 3. NTA. You're not required to clear personal health decisions with anyone, wedding or not. Her reaction says way more about her insecurities than your actions. Comment 4. NTA. But FFS. Losing. OOP. LOL, sorry I'm dyslexic. You're just lucky that's all that wrong, rolling on the floor laughing. Comment 5. You're. OOP. FFS, woman facepalming, light skin tone, you're right. I'm losing the plot. Did I do it? Did I pass the spelling and grammar test? I forgot to study. Comment 6. You forgot to capitalize did in the first question. Rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing. OOP, bollocks. I knew my teachers were right, I'll never amount to anything. I guess I can forget my dreams of becoming captain of the grammar police. Pensive face. Comment 7. Never give up. You can totally be the captain of the grammar police for dyslexic people, woman shrugging, medium light skin tone, face with tears of joy. OOP, you mean it? Oh boy. Special spellers unit, here I come. Comment 8. I think that you sound like a sweet person with a good sense of humor. I won't hire you to edit my book, but you're invited to my next wedding. Winking face. OOP. Aw, thanks. I'll even wear a fat suit to your wedding if you'd like, red heart. Update 0.5. Edit. Guys, I now know it's lose. I'm sorry for my dyslexia. I would go and edit all of them out but one. I have been told there are many I'm too lazy for that, and two. I now think it's hilarious how annoying you all seem to find it. Update. Final. First off, thanks for all the support, as well as all the spelling lessons. They have cheered me up a lot. Not sure if anyone wanted an update, but you're getting one anyway. I called my friend as I'm currently away for work, so couldn't meet face to face. Spoiler, it did not go well. I started by telling her it was not my intent to make her feel any kind of way, and tried to explain I had already been on my weight loss journey before she got engaged. I asked her if she really thought that I would be vindictive enough to try and upstage her at her wedding. Apparently, this was the wrong thing to say. She started ranting about how I think I'm better than her, how whenever we go out together no one ever looks at her, only at me. I don't think this is true, as she is very pretty and I'm pretty average looking. Here's where it gets bonkers bananas. She told me that her ex-boyfriend, who recently got married, is going to be at the wedding, and for a while he was thinking of leaving his, at the time, fiancé to ask me out, but my friend convinced him not to. I had no idea any of this went on and would have been appalled because 1. That's just weird, and 2. He's my best friend's ex, and I'm now pretty sure she's still in love with him. I have been uninvited from the wedding, unless I put the weight back on. Then I can come, but not as a bridesmaid. Safe to say, I now have a new motivation to keep the weight off, and shall not be attending any weddings in the near future. She's always had a temper and has flipped out at me over random stuff before, but nothing ever this insane. I guess I'm going to have to get better at identifying red flags. 10. AITA for working on my birthday. I, 17F, have a part-time job. My birthday fell on a day I usually have off, a Wednesday, from my job. Fast forward, and somebody asked me to take their shift, and I said yes. Once I was already at work, I don't see my friends at school. I started getting texts asking if I could go out, and I told them no, because I was at work. It's been a few days and everyone is kind of mad at me because they had a surprise planned, and I ruined it by picking up a shift. I feel kind of bad, but also I really like my job, and what the surprise even would have been since I have a strict parent, and it was a school night. Ida. 11. AIKABF wants to be compensated for camper van. Hi folks, 29, F, dating 27, M. We have been together for about a year and a half. One of my dreams is to get a camper van, and I have been looking for months. Fast forward, and I finally found one that seems like it will be perfect. My BF is incredibly handy, yet has never built a camper van before, and I want us to tackle the project together to both enjoy traveling in it. My BF doesn't really think he will get to use it as much as he is a roofer, but I still think we will be able to during winter months when work is slow for roofers. Long story short, he told me yesterday that if he is going to help me with the van, he wants me to pay for getting his truck bed replaced and painted. This is the first time I have heard this. It's an 8-foot bed, and just to replace the bed is like $1,500, not even with paint costs. I then told him I could pay someone else to do it, as I don't want our relationship to be transactional. Am I in the wrong, even though it would be cheaper to pay him? Want to be clear, I am buying the van with my money. All mechanical costs would be on me, and all items to put in van, solar, heat, floor, insulation, etc. would come out of my pocket. Also, after hearing he didn't want to do it, I didn't force him and said I could find somebody else to pay to do it or do it myself. In turn, it made him made when I was just trying to take transactional out of the equation. 12. AITA for missing a driving lesson. So for context, I've 17M, just started driving lessons with my family instructor, F, who lives a couple doors down. I've had 2 lessons so far, and on the last one we booked my lesson for this week. I distinctly remember her mentioning Wednesday when we booked the lesson, so I had it in my head that my lesson was tomorrow. Anyways, this morning I woke up to a message from her saying she knocked the door and that I'd missed the lesson. It was an honest mistake, and I'd never intentionally waste her time. I immediately messaged her apologizing and explaining what happened. I asked if it was possible to rearrange. She said that I'm lucky because she has a cancellation tomorrow. I once again apologized to her and thanked her for doing me the favor. She's been late in the past to my siblings' lessons spanning 10 to 30 minutes. She would apologize for this and offer to make up the time. Anyway, I just feel really bad because I feel like I've messed her about and am considering whether to give her the cash for the missed lesson or not. On one hand, she's put me into a cancellation slot the next day, meaning she's not really missing out on the money. But on the other hand, I've wasted her time. AITA, and should I offer her the money or another gesture like a box of chocolates just to try and diffuse the awkwardness? For context, the lesson would cost about £80 for 2 hours. 13. AITA for asking my fiancé to clean his car. Me and my fiancé have been living together for 6 months, and a recurring argument is cleaning. He will clean, but he does a sloppy job since he wants to just get the chores over with. I am much more thorough with cleaning, and I find myself picking up after him all the time. We are going on a road trip in a few days, and we'll be taking his car. His car is very dirty. It smells bad, and there is garbage everywhere. I asked him to clean up the garbage in his car, which would take maximum half hour, and even offered to help him, and he said no. His stance is that he doesn't need to clean his car just because I asked him to. He kept arguing with me, asking me if this is the hill I want to die on. AITA for asking him to clean his car. 14. AITA for hating my family. I am 19. This all started in high school. My family moved states right before my high school years, and we started getting closer. Around my junior year of high, my little brother, 1 year younger than me, went online. My family, 6 people plus little brother's GF, would start going out while I was at school. They would go shopping, eating, etc. At first I didn't care, but then I would get home and need to go to the store, but everyone would complain that they already went out that day and didn't want to go out again. Over a few months I started getting annoyed because I would run out of school supplies, hygiene supplies, and other basic needs. I would complain to my family and would call them out on it. My mother continued to call me entitled and spoiled. I ended up taking the rest of junior year online because I was so jealous, but then they rarely ever went anywhere. I went back to school for my senior year, which became very stressful, but shockingly my family started inviting me out to dinner and would go to places while I was home. But I was always sleeping or too exhausted to go. So they eventually stopped inviting me again. I started noticing their difference in the way they treated me, especially after this part. My older sister was a 2020 graduate, so she didn't get to have a normal graduation. I've seen my mother cry many tears over this, so I was shocked when my mother didn't shed a single tear over my graduation, especially since I was the only one she saw walk the stage out of 4 kids. After graduation, I went to school for real estate. My parents saw me have a hard time over the course of a few months. Many tears and frustrating times. My father would always say things like, "Well, if you fail, you're going to have to get a real job," or, "What's taking so long? It can't be that hard." A few months later, I completed my education in real estate. When I told my parents, my dad gave me a high five while staring at his phone and smoking a cigarette. When I told my mother, she was on her phone with her back to me. She said something along the lines of "yay" or "congrats." When I told my grandpa and aunt, they gave me hugs, so I knew my parents' reactions weren't normal nor supportive. I've only been graduated for a few months, but maybe it's because for the first time in my life I'm with my family all the time, or maybe I was so consumed by school I didn't realize they didn't care much for me. Anytime in the past, I would say if something bothered me, they would always say, I just have middle child syndrome. I'm the three-quarters child, also youngest daughter. This part is only on how my parents have treated me, and only some small parts of many other things. Also my first post, so may not have good details or enough information. 15. AITA for laughing in my grandma's face. Context before anyone lectures me about it. I am in the process of moving out. I'm aware my family is toxic. It's hard to set boundaries while you live together. So I have a really messed up back. Lower vertebrae deteriorated, I, 23F, have the back of a 50-year-old along with two-disc bugle. I usually go to work and go to bed because I'm exhausted. Currently living with my parents and grandma, but I also pay equal share of bills. Today is my day off, so I offered to cook dinner. I was trying to hype up my grandma about having fried chicken, and while she was excited, she asked if I could go to the store for her. I immediately said no, and said I will not be doing you a favor. Now this might sound really harsh, but this lady is always making fun of my back pain. She literally only asked me if I was going to stop making money when I got my MRI results as I was sobbing on the phone. Last night, she randomly started making fun of me saying I'm more disabled and broken than she is. My back is a really sore spot for me because you think I want to go through this? I told her don't ask me for anything then. She started screaming at me for saying no to the store and bringing up last night, saying I'm disrespectful and I just insulted her. The hypocrisy made me burst into laughter, so as I was preparing for dinner, I just kept laughing to myself. I admit I did say a few things out loud while I was in the kitchen. Me when someone calls me out. Me when somebody isn't a pushover. I still think I'm in the right, but my parents are pissed at me because she's in her room with the door locked, claiming she's not welcomed in the family. My dad thinks I shouldn't have laughed, but honestly, he literally always wants me to be a pushover. Sorry if this sounds off. I feel very detached at the moment because I am completely over my family as I am always the bad guy. I just want to pet my cats, bruh. 16. AITA for refusing to move my longboard. My apartment complex called me back in October asking me to move my longboard off my apartment balcony because it is not patio furniture. Never heard of this before. I ignored their message because I pay a lot for where I live and have never been late on payments, so I find it annoying that they want me to keep the board inside my house. They then proceeded to send multiple messages about the board throughout the next few months to the point that I'm feeling harassed about it. I have stated keeping note that everyone else has personal items on their balcony besides patio furniture such as bikes, beach chairs, fishing poles, and cleaning stuff. My apartment also does not have any storage areas available to rent out, so I find it ridiculous that they're insisting on telling me what I can and can't have on the balcony I'm paying a lot for. They expect me to keep it inside the apartment, which is just not doable. Am I the asshole? 17. AITA for not inviting my sister's wife to my wedding. Edit. My future husband and I am looking at the comments, and we thinking we are just going to elope. We want a small, intimate wedding. Only people we are very close to. And if we can't have that, then eloping is the next option to this. We are going to elope. I already informed my family. They don't seem happy and said an apology to Emma. We will just get married, the two of us. We will need 2 witnesses, but that will be a different issue. Maybe not pick anyone we are close to so no infighting about it. My wedding is going to be very small. My fiancé and I agreed that we get 10 people each. So that is 20 people in total, very small wedding. That is the amount the venue allows, so no more can be added. It's a very nice venue that has excellent food and a church attached. We would have to go to another venue if we go about the guest amount. We decided to do this. My future husband has a very limited family, and overall we both are not a huge fan of huge parties. My time people I picked were my parents, grandparents, my 2 sisters, my brother, his wife, and another couple. My parents, mom and dad, are a couple. My grandparents are also a couple. My brother and his wife is my best friend since middle school, are a couple, and my 2 close friends I invited are a couple. They got together in college. This leaves just my 2 sisters not getting to bring their to the event. My one sister is dating, but didn't care since it is a small wedding. The issue is my other sister, Kelly. Kelly is married to Emma, and overall, I am not close to Emma at all. Out personally don't seem to mix well, and we never got close. I have tried, but she never wants to go out. It's been like that since we met. Because it is such a small wedding, I only invited people I am close to. The whole family knows it is a small wedding and my reasoning behind it. Multiple of my friends/family spouses were not invited. I sent out the invites and Kelly was upset that I didn't invite Emma. I told her I only invited people I am close to and I am not close to her. She said I invited my brother's wife and I reminded her that she has been my best friend for years. We argued a bit and she told me she will not attend without Emma. I told her that was okay. Since she has been overall pissed and sent me a text saying people show their true colors at their events. I assume she is calling me homophobic. I'm not. My mother is now saying I need to invite Emma and that maybe my future husband can give up a spot. I have shut this down, but I am being called unreasonable for refusing to compromise. Easter is this weekend and my sister and Emma are saying they won't come if I am there, since they know my beliefs. Again, not homophobic. My future husband is on my side and I telling me to just invite another friend and they can suck it up. We still plan on going to Easter. 18. AITA for wanting extra time with Mama and Papa this morning. 11MF. Have a sixth sense for when Papa has some extra work to do on a particular day. One of these signs is that Papa pulls out clothing from a completely separate section of the wardrobe and wears a white shirt and colorful scarf around his neck, plus a dreamily soft jacket. Since I knew he was going to have a longer day and therefore most likely pick me up later from daycare than usual, I decided it was important we extend our morning routine. I didn't want us to rush out the door and leave Mama all alone for Ian's. Therefore, I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and demanded my morning bottle. I made sure to do an extra large poop in the morning, so I got a bath and not a regular diaper change. Once I was in my favorite outfit, a hand-crocheted sweater Mama made for me, I made a point to surreptitiously crawl to our plant pot while Papa was using the bathroom. I made sure to be extra quiet and not make any sounds as I approached the plant pot. I then stood on my tippy toes and reached into the plant pot and grabbed one of the bark pieces that Mama and Papa used to cover the soil so that I could not eat it. Usually, I'm fine chewing the bark and or grabbing a bunch of different pieces to play with. But this time, I used the extra power given to me by the 4 front teeth that had magically appeared on the top of my mouth a few days ago, which, combined with my existing bottom 2 teeth, allowed me to chew off a small piece of bark. I then proceeded to swallow it, gag, and then throw up the whole 7 ounces of formula Mama had just fed me. Mama and Papa then worked together to get me out of my clothes without getting any of the barf on my hair. They almost got away with just changing my diaper, sweater, bib, and pants. To wit, I countered by throwing up another mouthful of formula, in such a way that the liquid rolled down the side of my cheek, pooled under my hair on the diaper mat, and covered the entire back of my head. As you can imagine, I gained extra Mama and Papa time with bath number 2. All this, before 7:30 a.m. in the morning, Papa was trying to leave at 7. What do you think? AITA for wanting to make up the 30 minutes I am losing by coming home late? P.S. Papa reported I chugged an entire 8-ounce bottle in the car on my way to daycare, so I didn't even lose out on food intake. PPS Papa tells me Mama has been researching thicker, sturdier wood slices that would be chew-proof. 19. AITA for wanting my mom to get rid of her horse? Essentially, my mom, F48, lost her job around a year ago. I, F19, am a university student and my mom does not pay for anything. I am incredibly lucky to be supported by my grandparents. Around 5 months ago, my father entered into a state of psychosis and had to be legally removed from our home. He now lives outside of our city and pays my mother $900 a month to support my sister and I. My mom has a horse. 3 years ago, she found a lump sum of money in an old bank account and chose to spend it on purchasing this horse instead of paying down the insane amount of debt she carries. Then, after losing her job, she asked my grandparents to temporarily take over payments. She still hasn't found a job, and the horse payments are over $1,000 a month. Because of this, my grandparents can no longer afford to help me with housing or groceries. My total living expenses are around $850 a month, which is less than the horse. My mother told me I have to take out student loans to cover my living expenses, which wouldn't have been an issue if I hadn't learned that the horse costs more than I do. If we got rid of the horse, or if she'd listened to me 3 years ago when I told her getting a horse was insane, we wouldn't be in this position. I told her the other day that keeping the horse is stupid, to which she screamed at me that I am ungrateful and she needs to have one thing that brings her joy after my father's episodes. I have given up, involuntarily, my relationship with my father, many of my hobbies, and significantly cut my own costs to make up for her financial deficits. I also want to clarify that I am not upset that my family can no longer support me. I am upset that they are choosing my mother's ridiculous hobby over my housing. I understand how gravely our financial situation has changed and am aware that I am not entitled to anyone's money. However, I learned yesterday that half of that money my father sends is meant to be given to me to help pay for groceries and utilities, but I receive nothing. When I asked my mother about this, she said it is for when I am home, which is roughly 5 days out of every month. I in turn asked my grandmother, who verified that yes, the money is supposed to go to me, but my mother cannot afford rent without it. I don't mind giving up $450 a month if it means supporting my sister and mother. This isn't the issue either. The issue is that when I asked my mom about it, she flipped out on me and bashed my father. I cannot legally speak to my father to ask for help, but he's also crazy. My father's side of the family is very financially manipulative, and I do not like dealing with them. Yes, I have a job to support myself. However, I wasn't informed until literally 3 days ago that starting next month, I need to pay my own rent. I do not work a job with lots of hours because I was told I didn't need to. Have I gone crazy for thinking that the horse is a horrible idea? Edit. I am just clarifying that I am aware I am not entitled to anyone's money here, which is why I feel so conflicted. I know I am an adult and that this is the way things go sometimes. Again, I know I do not inherently deserve anyone's money or financial support. 20. AITA for using the swing in my backyard at night. I, 20F, am autistic, in the decently traditional diagnosed as a kid was in special education until graduating way. We have a swing in our backyard both me and my little sister, who's 16, love to use. I get home from work sometimes at around 9 p.m., and since it's getting warmer out, Eve been missing the nice, weather wear ID, usually be out on the swing. The other night, I went out at around 9:30 p.m. and stayed on the swing until 10 p.m.-ish with my headphones on. I brought my dogs out with me. They're always dead silent and more just for my comfort. They were laying next to the swing. My neighbor behind me made a loud noise and let her dog out, which then began barking. I moved my headphones and apologized and said I'd go in and let the dogs in, but she said something along the lines of he wasn't barking at the dogs. I apologized and went inside. I want to go outside right now, but I'm frankly too nervous of coming off like a jerk when she clearly doesn't want me out there. Ida, 21. AITA for possibly ruining my husband's friend's only chance to get married? My husband has a friend, we'll call him John. His wife recently passed away after a long and difficult illness. Less than a month after her death, he started using dating apps and meeting new women. The problem is that John is an alcoholic, unemployed, and overall not a good person. His late wife went through a lot because of him, and their relationship was very unhealthy. John lives in another country, but he often visits ours because his late wife was from here, and he dates women from here. Recently, I visited a close friend of mine, we'll call her Lucy. She's been single for a long time and has had difficult experiences with past partners. Because of that, she struggled for a while and avoided dating. During my visit, she told me she had met a very charming and kind man, and that they were planning to get married. From what she said, I realized she was talking about John. I was happy she started dating again, but I couldn't let her marry someone like him. I told her the truth that he has serious issues, doesn't work, and is not someone who would treat her well. I warned her that she could end up in a very bad situation. She was shocked but promised she would end things with him. A few days later, John called me asking why Lucy wasn't responding. I said I didn't know. The next day, he called again while drunk, accusing me of ruining his chance to get married and saying I would pay for it. Now my husband is asking me to apologize and fix the situation. He believes John might change if he marries Lucy. But I don't believe that he didn't change even when his wife was seriously ill. I'm honestly worried for Lucy, especially since he could take her to another country where she might not know her rights. I believe I did the right thing. What do you think? Edit. English isn't my first language, so I hope everything is clear. Edit 2. All four of us are of the same ethnicity, where it is rare to marry someone who is not of the same ethnicity. We are a very small nation in terms of numbers, And that's why there are applications and websites that are just for us. 22. AITA for going out without my boyfriend. My boyfriend M37 and I F29 have been together for a little over 5 years. We met as co-workers, and after about a year of him asking, we finally started courting one another. Shortly after we became official, I quit that job. Part of the issue of us both working together is that we never had any spare time for one another. The other part is that my boyfriend co-parents his son. So between work and family, there isn't much time to put to the side for me. Although there isn't much time for us to be alone, we still make it work. We're always trying to plan ahead and accordingly. With that being said, for the last 5 years we've been dating, I tell my boyfriend every year that I want to go out dancing for my birthday. Every year he gives me an excuse as to why he can't. Most of the time, he says he will need to make arrangements for his son. And I feel like that's an excuse because, like I mentioned before, we are always planning our activities. And this isn't a random trip that we decided to take. This is my birthday that is on the same day every year. So I keep telling him that's all I want to do, because that's true. I went dancing all the time before him and I started dating. And though my boyfriend doesn't enjoy it, I feel like it's okay to be uncomfortable for 2 to 3 hours one day a year. So each year, instead of going dancing, we will go to dinner or have gatherings or get drinks. Never dancing. This year, like clockwork, I told my boyfriend I wanted to go dancing for my birthday. Of course, he started with the excuses about his son. So I told him that I was going without him because I'm tired of waiting on him to celebrate my birthday with me the way that I've been asking. And I did. Ida, 23. AITA for asking my mother why. Hey everyone, I'm 15F and my mother is 58F. I have posted about her before, and I believe we've concluded that she is a narcissist, but I still always wonder if I'm doing or saying something wrong, which is why I post here. So today we are driving back from my piano lessons and talking about our upcoming trip. My mother changes the subject and says, "Oh, did I tell you your swim coaches offered to put you in the longer season for swim?" For context, I had decided to stop swimming because it was something I had fallen out of love with because it was just so physically and mentally taxing. I replied with, "Oh yeah, Alexa," a girl I had grown close with who was also on the team, told me about that yesterday and asked if I was going because she hadn't seen me in a while. Mom just nodded to that, but then I went on. I told her how I wasn't going to go back and I was probably just do privates now and then because it was just something I had fallen out of love with and dashed. Mom cuts me off in the middle of my sentence. "Who's that?" My mother says sharply, almost accusingly. I pause, thinking she had just forgotten who she was because she had met Alexa and seen her, and because I clearly didn't pick up on her, too. So I start describing her. "You know the one with blonde short hair and dashed." Again, my mother cuts me off. "Is that an adult or a child?" She says again with that sharp tone, and this time I pick up on it. "A child." "What?" And this is where I messed up. My mother goes off. "Well, I don't know if you were giving all that information to an adult." I say back, "I would never give all that information to an adult I know better." She just rolls her eyes, and the rest of the car ride is silent, about 2 minutes. And I think I'm in the clear. Spoiler alert, I was not. When we park at our house, she turns to me and starts going off about how God was going to ask her about the child he gave her, and it's her responsibility to take care of me and whatnot. When she was saying all this, I looked away from her face because I hate confrontation, but then she said, "I just must be the worst mother in the world." When she said that, I just muttered under my breath, "Whatever," which she didn't hear. Then she started walking inside and walked straight to her room. So I have to know, am I the asshole? 24. AITA for not telling my brother my twins are in the NICU. This is a throwaway account as I have friends who use Reddit and don't want them seeing this. I, 28F, recently gave birth to twins prematurely, and they're currently in the NICU. It's been one of the most stressful and emotional experiences of my life, and right now my focus is 100% on my babies and getting through each day. Here's where the issue comes in. I have an older brother, 33M. About 2 years ago, he and his wife had their first baby. At the time, I was really excited to be an aunt and wanted to be involved. But they had a rule that I was never allowed to be alone with their baby. At first, I tried to respect it, but it honestly hurt. I didn't understand why they didn't trust me. Eventually, I asked my brother directly what the issue was. He told me that his wife thought I wasn't responsible enough to be trusted alone with a child because I go on vacation all the time. For context, I'm a software engineer and I travel frequently for work. Yes, I do take vacations sometimes, but most of my trips are job-related. That conversation turned into a big argument. I felt judged and disrespected, especially because no one had ever brought this up to me before or given me a chance to prove otherwise. He doubled down, saying they were just being careful, and I told him that if that's how they saw me, then I didn't really want to be around them anyway. We haven't spoken since. It's been over a year. My parents have tried to get us to reconcile, saying they feel stuck in the middle, but neither of us has reached out. Now fast forward to the present. I gave birth early, and my twins are in the NICU. It's been overwhelming, scary, and exhausting. Between hospital visits, recovery, and trying to process everything, I haven't had the energy to deal with anything else. I told my parents, of course, and they've been supportive. But I didn't tell my brother or his wife. Honestly, I didn't feel like opening that door, especially given how things ended between us. Part of me also feels like if they think I'm irresponsible, why would they care or need to be involved? Well, my brother found out through our parents and is now upset that I didn't tell him directly. He says that regardless of our issues, this is a big deal and he should have heard it from me. My parents are also saying I should have at least let him know and that this could have been an opportunity to mend things. I don't know. I feel like I'm already dealing with enough and didn't want to add emotional stress by reaching out to someone I'm not on speaking terms with. But now I'm wondering if I handled this wrong. My husband, M34, is livid with my brother for putting this stress on us and wants to say something to my brother, but I won't let him. I genuinely hate conflict like this, and I'm just so exhausted and scared for my children right now. AITA? Edit to add. Wow, I honestly did not expect this many responses. I'm still reading through everything, but I wanted to answer a couple of common questions and clear something up. My brother didn't find out because someone went behind my back intentionally. My mom actually told him by accident. She and my dad were visiting my brother, Esgel, and my nephew, and it slipped out in conversation. So that's how he found out, not because anyone was trying to stir drama. At this point, I've decided I'm not going to engage with any of it right now. I'm exhausted, emotional, and my babies need me. I am going to take the advice some people suggested to let my husband handle communication right now. I just don't have the energy to deal with family conflict on top of everything else. Also, a small unexpected twist: my mother-in-law, who I don't usually see eye to eye with, is absolutely livid on my behalf. I did not have that on my bingo card, but honestly I'll take the support where I can get it right now. 25. AITA for not inviting my future sister-in-law on my bachelorette. My 31F bachelorette was a few weeks ago, and it was supposed to be a ski trip in Park City, Utah. However, they had a bad winter, and there was almost zero snow left, so we didn't even end up skiing. Future sister-in-law, 29F, does not ski or party. She drinks casually, but my friend group gets pretty feral, and honestly, we just aren't close. We live in different states, only really see each other on holidays, don't text or keep up. We're cool, but we aren't close enough that I wanted to include her on the trip and be worried about her feeling uncomfortable the partying and 10 girls she has never met. After agonizing over it for a few months and even writing into a different podcast for advice, they didn't read it. I decided not to invite her. On my way home from the bachelorette, I got a text from my fiancé that I shouldn't have posted any pictures from the weekend and the optics look bad. He wanted me to text his sister and get in front of the situation and explain it was supposed to be a ski trip. I thought that would be even weirder, and my friends agreed. I had obviously discussed this with him beforehand, and he didn't care that I wasn't inviting her, so I asked if his mom had said something to him, or something. He said no. He ended up calling his sister on his own before I even got home, and took the blame. He said that when I was planning the trip, he told me she probably wouldn't go because she doesn't ski, doesn't party. She's the sole provider for her family right now. Husband tore his ACL in the police academy and wouldn't know anyone. She said she was a little bummed because it looked fun and she would have came if invited, but ultimately understood, and that seemed like the end of it. His mom didn't comment or like any of my posts from the weekend, which is definitely unusual behavior, and I started getting anxious. He basically gaslit me all week that I was just being paranoid and not to worry about it. I asked again if she had said anything to him about the trip, and he said no. His mom finally called us yesterday, and within 2 seconds it was obvious that this all did come from her. And she said everyone is asking her why her daughter wasn't invited, and she needs to know what to say to people, because she doesn't want to make me look bad. I reiterated that it was supposed to be a ski trip and I didn't think she would go. I also said I've been on other bachelorette trips where the siblings aren't invited, even if they are in the bridal party, as it's usually just for friends. Important note, and the biggest reason I may be TA is, she is a bridesmaid, because she asked me to be in hers and felt I should reciprocate. She didn't have a bachelorette though. I'm feeling really down about it because I've always had a great relationship with his family, and now I just feel like things are super weird. And now I'm mad at my fiancé for lying. Because if I knew it came from his mom all along, I would have known it was a bigger deal to them instead of this festering for 2 weeks. AITA, or is this being blown out of proportion? What's done is done, and I really wish we weren't still talking about this. 26. AITA for not wanting to go to this party? Hey, I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on this situation. A friend of mine just turned 35. He created a messenger group and invited his close ones, just 8 people in total, including his girlfriend, and announced that he had decided to celebrate his birthday in the countryside by renting an Airbnb on a specific date. Just to be clear, we are not a tight-knit group of friends. Most of us do not really know each other in that chat. His girlfriend then jumped in by sending the link to the house and explaining that the place costs around 1,000 euros, so each guest needs to pay their share by transferring a certain amount to her, rounded up to the next euro. She then immediately sent her IBAN. She also added that for food and alcohol, we would split the bill on the spot. We were even told not to use Lydia because it takes commissions, which honestly made the whole thing feel even more calculated. I have already been chased up because I had not made the transfer yet, with the explanation that Airbnb would soon charge them directly. Am I the only one who finds this a bit bold for a birthday celebration? It is the first time I have been invited to a birthday where guests are asked to cover everything equally. I never show up empty-handed, and I do not mind contributing financially, but here I do not know. If you decide to organize a weekend, you would usually take on at least part of the costs. In this case, I would end up paying for transport plus gift, plus accommodation, plus food plus alcohol. I should also mention they both have decent salaries. For context, I am currently organizing my girlfriend's 30th birthday, and we are covering everything ourselves. We do not expect anything from the guests because it is our choice to throw a nice celebration. It is not even a question of means. It is more symbolic. It just feels like the right way to host people you invite. This is why I find it hard to understand this situation, especially since I only agreed to this birthday after a simple oral invite saying I should be available on that date because he wanted to celebrate his birthday. I will still go, but honestly, I do not even know who I will end up sharing a room with since there are not even enough bedrooms for everyone. At this point, I am wondering if I am the problem or what is going on.